Alrighty, hey everybody, welcome to another episode here of Falcons Franchise. This is going to be the big off-season slash draft episode. So we're going to go from the Pro Bowl week all the way until week 1 of the next season. See who we sign, see who we draft, see what the team looks like at the end of it. I'm pretty excited to see that. But before we do that, we're going to take a look at the Pro Bowl roster and see if we have anybody from our team representing us in the Pro Bowl here. Right off the bat, I can see we got our big guy, the fullback Keith Smith. That's good to see. No receivers, no tight ends. Doesn't look like left tackle. No offensive lineman here. Defensive line, I'm assuming we don't have anybody. Deion Jones makes it as a middle linebacker. That's cool. No corners. Doesn't look like Terrell made it. No safeties. No Younghoe Koo or anybody like that. So looks like all we had was Deion Jones and Keith Smith. But it's cool to see we at least got some Pro Bowlers here in this dismal season. All right, so now it's the Super Bowl week. Looks like it's going to be a Bears and Browns Super Bowl. We're going to take a look at the yearly awards here. You can see that Coach of the Year is Mike McCarthy. MVP is Patrick Mahomes. AFC Offensive Player is Mahomes. Defensive player is Cam Hayward. Rookie of the Year is Trevor Lawrence. Defensive Rookie of the Year is J.O.K. Best QB, Mahomes obviously. Running back is Joe Mixon. Receiver is Jarvis Landry. We saw he had a ton of touchdowns in the last episode. Quentin Nelson, bunch of Browns, bunch of Chiefs. That's kind of standard for the best offensive line. Hayward gets defensive line. Bosa is the best linebacker. Kind of interesting how they do the terminology. Callahan at cornerback. And best kicker in the AFC is Harrison Butker. Taking a look at the NFC, Kyler wins offensive player. Khalil Mack is the defensive player. Offensive rookie is Justin Fields. He led the Bears to the Super Bowl. That's pretty cool in his rookie year. Good to see that. I'm a Justin Fields fan. Looks like we got Kyle Pitts in second place. Kind of hard to beat a quarterback for Offensive Rookie of the Year, but cool to see that he got second place there. Defensive Rookie of the Year is Zaven Collins on the Cardinals. Jamin Davis and a couple other guys. We got Richie Grant in there. I was kind of hoping he would be a little bit higher, but that is what it is. Tom Brady's your best quarterback. Alvin Kamara is your best running back. Best receivers, Devontae Adams. Best offensive line, bunch of Cowboys, bunch of Buccaneers. That's kind of what it usually is in year one here. Best defensive line, J.J. Watt. Best linebacker, Khalil Mack. Best DB is Marshawn Lattimore. He had a ton of interceptions, so that makes sense. And we get Younghoe Koo as best kicker. So that's kind of cool to see. So we just simmed through the Super Bowl. Looks like the Browns narrowly edged out the Bears, 34-31. I'd like to take a look at the season recap here, see who like the league MVPs are. Yeah, we saw Mahomes is the NFL MVP. McCarthy's Coach of the Year. League offensive player is Mahomes. League defensive player is Khalil Mack. Justin Fields is the league offensive rookie, and J.O.K. is the league defensive rookie. So we got offensive rookie of the year in Justin Fields versus J.O.K., defensive rookie in the year in the Super Bowl. And it looks like J.O.K. actually won Super Bowl MVP too. So quite a lot of hardware for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah in his first season. I don't know if anyone's ever done that. Won Super Bowl MVP, Conference Rookie of the Year, and League Rookie of the Year all in one season. But it looks like J.O.K. has done that. I feel like that has to be the first time that someone's ever done that. So that's cool to see. So I'm going through and I'm spending all of my staff points this year on the hometown discount upgrade, just so I can get a discount on bringing back some of our good players. This is mostly just to kind of help with Kyle Pitts' contract negotiations down the line, because he's going to be a stud. He's going to be well over a 90 overall by the time we're looking to re-sign him. So I think that will be beneficial, probably also beneficial for an AJ Terrell extension, as well as other players we draft down the line. So that's kind of like a long-term focused upgrade to help us re-sign some of the talent that we have now and that we're going to be drafting in the future. I advanced to the next stage of the offseason, and we have a new mock draft to take a look at. So we're going to do that now, see who it has us taking. So yeah, we have the number 1 overall pick, and it's saying that we're going to take Trayvon Walker. which is not what I want to do. I'm really looking to take Kayvon Thibodeau. He's the dude I've had my eye on basically all year. And yes, I made the draft class. Yes, I know some of the overalls and some of the dev traits. So this first season is kind of cheating here. But we're going to look to take Thibodeau. It looks like Kenny Pickett has moved up quite a bit. He's being mocked to the Steelers, which is cool. That's what happened in real life. Hutchinson looks like he's kind of fallen. So that's pretty interesting. He would be someone I would take if Kayvon Thibodeau was off the board. Ooh, look at Kurt Yates here. Wow, he must have had a heck of a season at Florida. But yeah, we're going to take Kayvon Thibodeau. That's what we're doing with the number 1 overall pick. Moving ahead to our final look at players that we can re-sign. I really don't think that I want to bring anybody back. Maybe the only person I would consider is Mark Barron, just because I remember he had that huge play against Carolina for us. He's regressed a bit, but I want to reward him just for coming in and helping us win that game. He's not particularly good by any means, but we'll give him this contract offer as like a thank you for helping us win that game. And he is not going to play for us. All right, cool. We were just trying to be nice to you, Mark, but you can test free agency. I'm sure you'll get the bag from some team as a 30-year-old, 67 overall middle linebacker. Cool. Don't think I'm going to bring anybody else back. Just looking at it, everyone can walk. Okay, so we're at free agency stage 1, and here's what I'm thinking about free agency for us. We do not have a lot of money. We only have $20 million. I don't think I'm going to sign anybody crazy. As nice as it would be to get a Devontae Adams or a Von Miller or someone like that, I think it would be best to just focus on the draft, and that way we can just draft whoever we want. We have a ton of holes. I don't really want to fill them right now with any of these top free agents because we're really not a good team. I don't know why anyone would want to sign a contract with us. I would rather just draft best player available and then build out the team after free agency. The one thing I will probably look to do is sign a quarterback, just because those don't really show up kind of after the draft. They get signed up pretty quickly here. So we'll take a look at Marcus Mariota. Falcons signed him in real life. I really want to lowball him. I don't want to pay him 3 years. I just want him for 1. So we'll give him a lowball offer and see if he accepts it. Again, really don't want to pay him too much money. I think $4 million is fine. He 20 points isn't great. He kind of hates that offer. We'll look at Tyrod Taylor maybe, Cam Newton. No. Ben Roethlisberger's still here. Trubisky could be fine. We'll sign Trubisky. He's a little bit more reasonable. We still want 1 year. It's way less money than we even offered Mariota, and he seems way more interested in that. So we'll leave the offer standing for Mariota. Worst case, we just sign both of them, I guess. It doesn't really matter too much, but yeah, this is what we'll do for quarterbacks. I'm fine with that. I also want to take a look at the end of season player morale and see if anyone is demanding a trade from any team, and if they are, we'll make that happen. And oh no, don't tell me it's going to be all of my favorite players on the Atlanta Falcons. Okay, so I don't really want to trade Chris Lindstrom. Doesn't make sense. We won't save a ton of money. Calvin Ridley, though, looks like we're going to have to trade him. Pitts is upset, but he's kind of untradeable with his penalty. Jake Matthews is untradeable too. Grady Jarrett wants out, but that's kind of an untradeable cap penalty. Deion Jones I also saw, but we can't do that. Xavier Howard looks like he could be traded. Terrell wants out, but we're not going to do that. That's going to hurt us so bad financially. Jesus. Oluokun too, but again, it would cost us $20 million. We wouldn't save any money. It would cost us a ton of money to trade him. We're not going to do it. Minka wants out, but we already traded him. I think I'm going to cap it at 40 this time, just because there's so many players under 30. So 40 is going to be the cap in terms of wanting a trade. And I think from what I've seen, the only trades that are going to happen, it's going to be Calvin Ridley. We're going to have to trade him, and perhaps someone else. I don't know. Okay, so we're at free agency stage 2 now. Doesn't look like any of our quarterbacks have signed yet. Yeah, it looks like we're still negotiating. We've got some competition for Trubisky, but we have the best offer, it looks like. I'm just going to leave things as they are. It looks like Devontae Adams signed with the Chargers. Armstead went to the Dolphins, just like he did in real life. Mike Williams to the Steelers. Marcus Williams also to the Steelers. Jack Fox. Wow, so it's all the M. Williamses heading to Pittsburgh. That's kind of cool. Odell to the Ravens. I like that. That's a great pickup. I kind of want that to happen in real life, even as a Bengals fan. I just think that Odell would be sick on the Ravens. And not like a ton of other interesting players have signed so far. Okay, so we're going to be trying to trade Calvin Ridley for the Bills' first-round pick in next year's draft. Basically, we're doing this because Calvin Ridley wants out. He's threatening to hold out, doesn't want a new contract, yada, yada, yada. So we're just going to trade him now. He's got 1 year left on his deal. And basically, the Bills, they were really bad this year. They have the 9th overall pick, but they shouldn't be. They're a good team. They are kind of lacking in terms of receivers. They have like a receiver 1 in Stephon Diggs, but then 2 receiver 3s kind of. And we're hoping that Ridley can be a good receiver 2 for them. They have like a good-ish offense, and they have Josh Allen, who's an amazing quarterback. They shouldn't be as bad as they are. I think they would make this kind of win-now move for Calvin Ridley. And we're going to try this trade, and it went through. So we get a first. We're up to 3 firsts in next year's draft. We have the Bills pick, the football team's pick, and our own. So we get more picks for the future. They get a weapon that can help them win now and maybe avoid being a bottom 10 team next year, because they shouldn't be. They're good. So the next trade that's going to happen here in the offseason is Xavier Howard is going to be traded. He's got 3 years left on his deal, but he's pretty upset with his situation in Miami, and he wants out. So we're going to have the Dolphins send another one of their good defensive backs to the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's going to be a Steelers second to the Dolphins for a 4th and a 7th. The Dolphins have a lot of picks, so I don't think they really need these two. It's just kind of like a sweetener to take on money here. So Pittsburgh shouldn't accept this trade. They need to. They don't really have good quarterback depth. So adding Xavier Howard really helps with that. The picks are just to kind of be like, Xavier Howard's old. That contract might not age well. So the Dolphins sweeten it with some late round picks, but the Steelers do end up giving up the most valuable pick there. Taking a look at the next mock draft here, it has us taking Thibodeau, number 1 overall. That was kind of leaked to the media when we made that favorites board last week. We kind of let them know, hey, Thibodeau's our guy. And although he doesn't have a top 5 projection, I think it makes sense to take him number 1 overall just because we have the number 1 pick. Might as well take our guy. So this is how things are shaking out here. Kenny Pickett has again fallen towards the 17 range. Steelers are taking Kyle Hamilton now. Pickett to the Saints. I actually kind of like that just because they're needing a quarterback. I think Jameis has left them. They didn't re-sign him. He went somewhere else. I can't remember where. But yeah, this looks pretty interesting. Jordan Davis to the Ravens is pretty nasty. Don't see our boy Kurt Yates anymore. It looks like he fell out of the first round. But yeah, this is how things are shaking out. Okay, stop the presses. I almost forgot to re-sign Younghoe Koo. Thank God he is still here. I was worried he wasn't going to be here when I got to the kicker screen. But we need to re-sign Younghoe Koo. I like the dude. He was pretty good for us. He only missed a few field goals and 1 extra point. So I'm totally cool with that. We'll bump the money down because that's why we waited this long to do it. And 67 isn't a super good offer, but we'll see if he takes that. I really want him back on the team. He doesn't have any offers, so I'm comfortable floating him that amount of money for now. Free agency period 3, you can see at the bottom, we got Trubisky and we got Younghoe Koo. Still waiting on Mariota. Don't really care if he says yes or no, because we have Trubisky now. I'm also looking to draft a quarterback, most likely. So, yeah, Trubisky's fine. If we don't end up drafting a quarterback, I'm totally cool with him being the dude, again, for another season, kind of like a tank commander situation. Okay, private workout time. We are going to do private workouts for basically just the 3 guys on our favorites board. So that's going to be Trayvon Walker, that is going to be Kayvon Thibodeau, and Aiden Hutchinson. So again, we're really liking Kayvon Thibodeau. We just want to get a good look at everybody, get everyone close to like 100% scouted so we can make our decision from there. We're going to be picking up the 5th-year option on Chris Lindstrom. He was obviously fantastic for us this past year, didn't give up a single sack, and he's also a pretty good run blocker. So yeah, that's kind of a no-brainer 5th-year option there. We also have a 5th-year option for Caleb McGarry. This one's going to be a no. It's a pretty easy no for me. He just hasn't looked super elite in the same way that Lindstrom has. He gave up quite a few sacks, less than 1 a game, but still quite a few last year. So we'll wait and see. He could still get re-signed. I might still just let him walk. I don't really know what's going to happen with him yet, but I'm comfortable declining a 5th-year option because I don't really want to pay him like he's an elite right tackle, because he really isn't. I'd rather spend that money elsewhere and possibly look to draft a new left tackle. So taking a look here at the free agency recap, Von Miller, still a free agent. That's pretty interesting. If he makes it till after the draft, I would maybe consider signing him because we don't have a great outside linebacker. Cordero Patterson is here. That's interesting. I don't really know if I want to bring him back. Not a lot of great players. Our only signings, pretty boring, but re-signing Younghoe Koo, bringing in Mitchell Trubisky to kind of maybe be a quarterback, maybe not. Here are kind of the players that have signed. Gronk to the Bengals. Houday, love to see it. Odell, that's pretty cool. Antonio Brown to the Jags. He kind of comes out of, I guess you can call it retirement. I don't really know what it is that he's doing. But yeah, this is the free agency recap here for all of the players that really matter. Okay, so it's time to do the draft. And it's still, Kayvon Thibodeaux is still the number 1 overall pick. I looked at the scouting reports we got back on Walker and Hutchinson, and we know now that Thibodeaux is a true top 5 talent. Hutchinson, we don't know yet, and then Walker is a round 2 talent at the moment. So it's going to be a pretty easy pick for Kayvon Thibodeaux. We've wanted him all year. We finally are able to draft him. We do. He walks across the stage. He gets his Falcons hat. He looks like a beast. Hidden development. All of those athletic ratings look phenomenal. Acceleration to 91 is sweet. So yeah, we knew he was the guy all year. He was the guy that we tanked for, and we got him. So that's really cool to see. We're going to kind of go pick by pick here in the first round. So Trayvon Walker goes to the Eagles. So they beat him. Stingley to the Vikings is sweet. I like that a lot. Ahmad Gardner to the Lions. So that's kind of shades of Jeff Okudah right there. Drake London to the Texans. I don't know if I love that. Hutchinson goes to the Chargers. They're going to be so sick with Bosa and Hutchinson coming off the edge. Bengals go Ike Mekwonu. As a Bengals fan, that is what I love to see. I would love Ike Mekwonu on the Bengals. Garrett Wilson to the Steelers. I don't love that at all because they're stacked at receiver. They have so many. That might be like a trade, like an NBA style draft trade where like Wilson comes out, he gets the Steelers hat, he waves with the commissioner, he goes off stage, and in the post-draft interview, they're like, "Are you aware that you've been traded to X team?" So that might be what happens with Garrett Wilson. He might get traded kind of after the draft here, just based on the fact that the Steelers don't really need him. Okay, Bills go Chris Olave. That's another one where that could be a trade. Cross to the Panthers. I like that. Evan Neal goes to the Broncos. He falls out of the top 10. That's pretty wild. McDuffie to the Cardinals is cool. Kenyon Green to the Giants is really cool. Jets are going to go with Kyer Elam. I like that for them. The football team here is going to go with Jameson Williams. That's a phenomenal pick there for the football team. I'm sure they would have loved that in real life. Hamilton to the Jags. It's pretty interesting. Saints, they go Kenny Pickett, like the mock draft said. That's pretty cool. I think he'll fit right in there. They don't have a quarterback at the moment. Forgot to check where Jameis went. Devin Lloyd to the Packers. I like that. They need a good middle linebacker. Wyatt to the Lions is interesting. What do the Ravens do? They go Jordan Davis. I love that for them. Eagles, Jahan Dotson. That kind of is questionable. Raiders go with Tyler Linderbaum. That's a pretty good pick. I like Linderbaum a lot. He was one of my favorite prospects in the draft. Titans are going to go with Tyler Smith. That's a very Titans pick. Kyler Gordon takes Xavier Howard's place in Miami. That's pretty cool. Eagles go Quay Walker. That's a pretty good pick. Zion Johnson to the Patriots, so they still go with a guard, but it's not Cole Strange here. Dax Hill to the Cowboys. Karlaftis, dang, I wanted Karlaftis. He goes to the Jets. I was really hoping he would fall to the second round and we could grab him. Tampa gets Jermaine Johnson, another player I wanted in the second. Breece Hall to the Chiefs, that's kind of weird. I like that though. Okay, I kind of wanted Arnold. I wanted Arnold too. He was another guy I wanted to fall to the second. And the Browns take Trevor Penning. I don't think they need Trevor Penning. That's probably going to be a trade. I don't love that pick for them. And we're back on the clock. So who's left? Kurt Yates? No. Treylon Burks is here. Okay, that's pretty interesting. So we just lost Calvin Ridley. We need a Calvin Ridley replacement. Treylon Burks is a first-round talent. He's here on the board. I don't really see, I would want an edge rusher here. The next best one is, Logan Hall and, Boye Mafe. And I think they would still be there if I took Treylon Burks here. At least one of them would. So I think we're going to take Treylon Burks to be our Calvin Ridley replacement. He's got good, combine and pro day stats. I don't love, his physical, ratings. But I definitely like him with this pick. So we take Treylon Burks. He has hidden dev. I could not remember if I gave him hidden dev or just normal dev, but cool, he's got hidden dev. Athletic ratings look kind of cool. Strength is low, but it's good to see 91 speed and acceleration. Those are pretty critical, so I'm definitely happy with the Treylon Burks pick there. We're going to sim ahead to our next pick, which is the Commanders' second round pick from the Matt Ryan trade here at 15. It looks like Sky Moore just went, so I'm glad that we got Burks when we did. There might have been a run of receivers here in the second round. So let's take a look at who's still available. I would love to see one of these edge rushers here still, but I'm also curious at looking at other things. We don't need a receiver anymore. Logan Hall is still here. Scrolling through, Andrew Booth would be cool. Malik Willis is here. He's actually getting close to going off the board. So we could do Logan Hall. Let's take a look at him right here. We know he's a scheme fit. He's around 1-2 projection. I don't really like what I'm seeing in terms of his 40 time. I'm looking for speed rushers, and kind of what I'm seeing from him doesn't really spell speed rusher to me. His skills look good, but not really too convinced that he's the pick here. Nick Benito could be interesting. Drake Jackson could be cool too. We know a little bit about him. Let's check him out. We know he's a speed rusher, so that's what we're looking for. I like his combine stuff. Not super bullish on his skills. So I'm not super sold on either of these pass rush guys here. So we do have another pick here in the second round. We pick again 8 picks after this one. I'm wondering if Malik Willis is going to make it that far. It looks like Desmond Ridder is already off of the board, which kind of concerns me because really Ridder and Willis are the only 2 quarterbacks that I was looking at. And because I don't love what I'm seeing from Logan Hall, yes, I see that he's a scheme fit. Our scheme is power rusher, but I really value a speedy edge rusher that I can train into being a more power rusher over time. That would be what I'm looking for here, and I'm just not really seeing it from him. Drake Jackson kind of fits that mold a little bit more. Okay, Malik Willis is going to be the pick here. I looked at the other quarterbacks, and it kind of scared me into doing this. I knew he was hidden development. That's why I wanted him. Again, I made the class, so I know that it's kind of cheating, but he was one of the only 2 quarterbacks that I was really interested in. With Ridder already off the board, I felt like we kind of had to make the Malik Willis pick here at 15 in the second round. So yeah, the other reason I wanted to do that is because I still think there will be an edge rusher that I like. Oh my god, the Raiders drafted some undrafted talent quarterback. That's hilarious. Okay, so who's still here? Christian Watson made it this far. Wow. Okay, Drake Jackson's still here. I like Drake Jackson. I also looked at this Kingsley guy, but really I think Drake Jackson is the one that I want to take. So we take Drake Jackson. He has hidden dev too. I actually did not know that. I forgot what his dev trait was. So we've gone 4 for 4 in terms of players with hidden dev so far. And yeah, I'm definitely happy with how that second round played out. I liked getting Treylon Burks as like a Calvin Ridley replacement. I like Malik Willis getting a good quarterback outside of the first round. That's great value. And then Drake Jackson was an edge rusher I liked, and I was able to wait to get him. So, dang, the Browns took Kenneth Walker. They really don't need Kenneth Walker. I probably would have taken him with this pick right here. So I might look to trade with them after the draft, see if I can scoop him from them, treat it like a during the draft trade. So who can I take at this pick? Troy Anderson, Nakobe Dean is interesting. There's not really a ton of like real players left. A lot of them are going to be from this previous draft class that I built this one off of. I think I'm going to take Troy Anderson. He was a real life Atlanta Falcons draft pick. His combine stuff looks fine. Ratings look fine. We don't know a ton about him in terms of skills, but I think I'm going to take him here. And he has hidden dev. Dang. Okay, I totally forgot about that. I must have given Troy Anderson hidden dev. I made this draft class. I totally it's a very mindless activity. I completely blacked out as I was doing it. So some of these players, I don't remember what their overall is at all, despite the fact that I'm the one who made the class. So we don't pick again until the 5th round. So we're going through the 4th, and here we are with our 5th round pick. Let's see if there's any real players still in this. If there are, I'll probably look to take one. Tyquan Thornton is a real player. Probably no one else besides Tyquan Thornton. So we'll take Tyquan Thornton here. All right, Tyquan Thornton. He only has normal dev. I didn't really expect anything too crazy, but cool to get as many real life players on this roster as we can. And yes, we have our 6th round pick. The Browns take another running back. Jesus. Yeah, we're definitely taking Kenneth Walker from them. They do not need to be drafting 2 running backs when they have 2 great running backs already. That just doesn't make sense. Yeah, because we don't have a punter, I think that I'm going to just look to take a punter here. I think if I drafted a position player, or you know what I mean, if I drafted a corner here, I don't even think they would make the 53-man roster. We would probably be able to sign people in free agency that could fill the corner role. So we'll look to take a punter here. And because our kicker from Georgia Southern, Younghoe Koo, has worked out so well, I think we're going to draft Spencer Olsen out of Georgia Southern. Just because, why not? We'll keep the Georgia kid in Georgia, send him to Atlanta. Normal dev, don't really expect to see anything crazy from a punter in the post-draft card thing, but he should be fine. We don't really need an elite 90 overall punter. We can totally spend our 6th round pick on a punter, and at least we'll actually get good value for that pick. He'll actually play for us instead of getting cut before he plays a single game. So I think a punter in the 6th round is a pretty good value pick as we look to take our final pick in the 7th. Silas Jordan looks like he's the dude. Only guy without a day 3 projection so far. We're not going to know anything about him. We might as well just draft him. And normal dev ratings actually look solid, but yeah, that's just kind of the only player that made sense to take. And I think that's going to be it for our draft. So this is our draft recap screen, and you can see Kayvon Thibodeau, 80 overall, well worth the 1st overall pick. 83 with morale is pretty exciting. He's already the 16th best left end in the league, so I'll take that. 93, I don't know if I love that number for him. We'll see if we can switch him into 5. But yeah, I'm super, super happy with the pick here. Treylon Burks is 73. Again, we know he has hidden dev. He's more of a deep threat than a route runner, but we can certainly look to train him. Malik Willis is also a 73. Again, hidden dev. We're number 4 here. I'm really excited to see what he can do. I kind of wanted to draft Desmond Ridder just to keep things realistic, but he got drafted and nothing I can do about it. We just have to take Malik Willis here. And yeah, I'm super, super excited to see what he can do for the Falcons. Drake Jackson was our final pick in the second round. He's also a 73, but he's a 76 with morale, rocking number 99 out of USC. So we didn't draft one Drake from USC and Drake London like the Falcons did in real life, but we did get another Drake from USC in Drake Jackson. Troy Anderson, 68. Tyquan Thornton is also a 68. They're fine. Anderson might play just because he has star dev, but Thornton, maybe not. I also just want to see what Kenneth Walker's a 77, and they drafted that other running back. He's not super good, but I kind of want to trade for Kenneth Walker because he's who I really wanted with like the Troy Anderson pick there. Spencer Olsen, that's totally fine for a punter. We will take that. Silas Jordan is going to be like a depth piece. I don't know if he'll finish out like his full rookie deal. Okay, so these are the players we have on offense following the draft. I like the way this looks. It doesn't look like we have a ton of like backup offensive linemen, so I'm probably going to sign some like filler guys there. Wide receiver also looks kind of bleak after the draft. Might have to do some improvements. In terms of the defense, might want to move Deion Jones to outside linebacker so we can give Troy Anderson some time and get better. As with outside linebackers, Grady Jarrett's going to have to be a D tackle. We'll do that now. Okay, so Grady Jarrett's a D tackle. I moved Thibodeau to right end because we didn't have a right end. And now Deion Jones is going to be right outside linebacker. So I think that makes things look a little bit better for us in terms of defense. We still have some holes to fill. I'm going to bump up Troy Anderson to be the starter there. Still some holes to fill, but I'm going to sign some free agents and kind of fill out the team a little bit now that the draft's over and we know what the team is kind of looking like. Going to be signing Tyler Croft to a one-year deal to be a backup tight end for us, kind of fill that Hayden Hurst role a little bit because we don't really have a passable backup tight end at the moment. Going to be looking to get some depth at corner here. Kind of looking for someone who's a scheme fit, who has decent speed. And that looks like it's probably going to be Tavon Young. So he's going to come in, give us some depth at corner. I think Terrence Brooks is going to be our backup free safety, just for no reason in particular. And then I think I like Duke Dawson Jr. to come in and be a backup strong safety for us. Again, really no reason, just looking for some stopgaps who are cheap. Now we're looking for backup offensive lineman. Jamarco Jones looks like a good fit to be the backup left tackle. Going to be looking to bring in Lane Taylor to be a backup left guard. He accepts that. We already have a backup center, so you don't need to worry about that, but we do need a right guard and a right tackle. Colby Gossett was on the team last year, so we're just going to bring him back to the Falcons again. Good to have some familiar faces on the offensive line. And then for the right tackle, we'll bring in Tom Compton. I like the look of Tom Compton, so sure, we'll bring him in. We also need some backup running backs because it's just Mike Davis and DJ Dallas at the moment. So we need to fill some running back spots. Jerick McKinnon. I actually like the look of Jerick McKinnon. He doesn't have to start. Again, just kind of a depth player for us to sign. And then I also want to look at practice squad eligible guys and see if there's like an undrafted rookie like Timmy Quick here. That could be decent. We'll sign him. He's super cheap. So it's cool to get some undrafted free agents on the team just to see. You never know. One of them could develop. Don't think Timmy Quick will, but we'll bring him into the team for now. Okay, just getting into a few more kind of like off-season moves that I want to make that I feel like are just kind of realistic for teams around the league to do. So first we're going to be starting with the Lions, and we're going to be releasing Jared Goff. And the reason we are going to do that is so we can free up this $10 million so we can get above the, get out of the negative here, and that way we are now allowed to make a trade. And so the trade we're going to make is going to be kind of like a draft night trade that still needs to be completed. And it's going to be trading Ahmad Gardner, who was the 4th overall pick, to the Bills in return for Chris Olave. So the reason I'm doing this is you can see that Chris Olave, I don't really know why the Bills drafted him. He's buried on their wide receiver depth chart, and it doesn't make sense to draft a fifth receiver with the number 9 overall pick. And I feel like they would much rather have a kind of lockdown corner for the future. It's not like the Lions don't have a need at corner, but if we take a look at their cornerback room here, they have Oruwariye, who's young. Rasul Douglas is replacement level, but they also have Jeff Okudah, who they just spent the number 3 overall pick on. So it doesn't really make as much sense for them to draft a corner as it does receiver. If we take a look at their receiver room, Chris Olave would slot right in, and he would get much more reps in Detroit than he would in Buffalo. So we're going to be making this trade. And then to make all these draft night trades, I use the NFL trade draft pick like calculator chart. And it basically tells you like in order for, it tells you basically the value of a pick in a number. So if you want to figure out like a trade, you just kind of have to like create like, you have to just make the numbers work basically. I don't quite know how to explain it. But so for example, we're going to be trading Ahmad Gardner, who was the 4th overall pick. And he has a value of like 1,800. And then we're going to be trading Chris Olave in return, who is the number 9 overall pick. And he has a value of about like 1,200. And then the Bills' 2nd round pick next year has a value of about 600. So to make this trade even, it's going to be like that. And then also to make this work, it looks like we need to take on $11 million in salary from the Bills as well. Okay, so this is going to be the trade here. I had to switch over to the Bills and release a few of their like worse than replacement level like practice squad players to free up the money. But we're ready to make this trade. It's just kind of like a completed draft night trade, similar to like they do in the NBA, where the teams pick these players with the intent of trading them, and this is the trade that they ended up making. All right, second draft trade is going to be the Bengals trading Desmond Ridder. I have no idea why they drafted Desmond Ridder with like the 4th pick in the 2nd round or something like that. So the Lions need a quarterback now. They just had to release Jared Goff, so they're going to be trading Mario Parsons and 2 third-round picks for Desmond Ridder. Parsons was Mr. Irrelevant. He was the final pick in the 7th round. So these third-round picks basically equate the value of Desmond Ridder, and they just get a player in return. And that is official. All right, so this is the next trade. The Cleveland Browns took Trevor Penning with the last pick in the 1st round. They have no holes whatsoever on the offensive line, but they do at least have a team need at defensive tackle. Yeah, it looks like they're kind of thin at defensive tackle. So Seahawks really need offensive tackles. They took one in real life in Charles Cross in the 1st round, so we're going to send them Trevor Penning for this guy, Chris Quick, and then these 2 picks. So this is basically Seahawks trading in to the 1st round, getting the last pick from the Super Bowl champion Browns, and picking up a tackle for the future. And so now I'm going into the Seahawks roster here, and I'm going to trade Jermaine Afidi. Or I'm not going to trade him, rather. I'm going to edit him and make him a right tackle. I've gone through and done this for all teams off camera, just to make sure that like rookies are actually getting playing time in situations where it makes sense. So the Seahawks just spent all of that draft capital to move up, get Trevor Penning, and they want him to start, obviously. They gave up a bunch to make that happen. So we're going to move him over to right tackle just to clear up space for Trevor Penning to start. You'll see just another example of that. I did that with every team, but for the Bengals, they drafted Ikem Ekwonu as a left tackle. Doesn't make sense to have him just be the backup to Jonah Williams. They'd probably rather move him to right tackle in a position where he'll actually play. I also did that for like defensive positions. So for example, the Eagles were really weak at left outside linebacker, so I moved Trayvon Walker from a right end to a left outside linebacker for the Eagles, just so he can play. And I guess another good example of kind of how this works is on the Cowboys. They have like no depth at corner. So Daxton Hill was drafted as a free safety for them, and I moved him to corner. And then they would be left without a backup free safety, so they also drafted a rookie corner who was bad. I just moved him to free safety. Okay, next trade is going to be the Giants acquiring Matt Corral from the Chargers. Again, no idea why the Chargers would want to draft Matt Corral. They have Justin Herbert. He's going to be their franchise QB, and they're really thin at D tackle, so it makes sense to send them Dom O'Neil. And then it's going to be a fifth, just because this is basically the Giants only trading up like 5 spots to get Matt Corral. So that's why the pick is so low. But yeah, this is going to be the trade. I did have to cut Sterling Shepard from the Giants to make that happen, which I don't really think is a huge deal. It saves them money. It gets them above the cap limit, and it frees up more playing time for Kadarius Toney, who looks like he didn't really play at all last year. So I think the Giants would be fine with doing that. I did have to cut a pretty not like super important, but like the 3rd best corner on the Chargers and their 5th best receiver. So I'm actually going to sign them a new receiver. I think they'll be fine at corner, but they have like very limited depth at receivers. So while I still have control of the Chargers, I'm going to basically go into free agency and just sign them the best receiver possible. And it looks like the best receiver on the free agency market right now that they can afford is AJ Green. So we're going to go ahead and sign AJ Green to a 1-year deal with the Chargers. Last draft night trade is going to be us, the Atlanta Falcons. We want to acquire Kenneth Walker from the Browns. They need left outside linebacker, so we're going to send them our 7th round pick, Silas Jordan, 1st overall pick in the 7th round, and then a 3rd to make up for the value, because I believe Walker was their last pick of the 2nd round. And you can see they just don't really need Walker at all. They're totally set with like a bunch of good running backs. We really need a running back. I would make Walker the best running back on our team. I would cut whoever was better than him. So we're going to see if they do this trade. I'm fine with giving them another pick here. See if a future 4th will get it done. Future 3rd is probably the most I'll do. So this is basically 2/3 and a 7th for their 2nd round pick. And that gets it done. So welcome to the team, Kenneth Walker. Okay, last little move of the offseason here is going to be trading Jimmy Garoppolo from the 49ers. He's really hard to trade right now because of his $25 million like cap hit. Teams just can't really take that on. So we're going to get sneaky here. And we are going to release him. Free up 25 million cap room with a penalty of 2 million. So that frees up a ton of cap space for the 49ers. And then we're going to sign him right back. Kind of think of it as like a contract restructuring or like renegotiation or whatever. It happens in the NFL all the time. There he is. Yeah, he only wants about 6.98. Sounds good to us. And we're also going to do the same thing with Kirk Cousins here because, trust me, this all seems like a lot, but I've got a crazy 3-way trade brewing. He's going to re-sign for about 13 mil, so that basically cuts his salary in half. And then with that reduced salary, that makes it much easier to trade him to the Panthers in return for Sam Darnold. Basically, Panthers, they had Cam Newton as their starter last year. He's gone now. They don't feel confident with Darnold, even though they traded a bunch to get him. He just hasn't been too good for them. And meanwhile, Kirk Cousins was really bad on the Vikings last year, but he's probably going to be better than Darnold is going to be, just based on the overalls. So basically, this is the Panthers going out and acquiring a bridge quarterback for the year. Still looking to draft one down the line. It's a long-term move. In return, we're going to do a pick swap here. It's not going to be anything too crazy. We'll do a 3rd and a 4th, just to have some kind of like capital there. I know it looks weird, Vikings giving up the higher pick to trade the better quarterback. But you got to remember, Kirk Cousins was one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL right now. I don't think his value is super good. So this pick swap here is to kind of entice the Panthers and to say, like, hey, we would appreciate you taking Kirk Cousins off of our hands. Here's a thank you. So Kirk Cousins is going to Carolina. And then the Vikings are going to turn right back around and trade fourth they got from the Panthers and their third a year later for Jimmy Garoppolo from the 49ers because it's Trey Lance season over there. They certainly want Trey Lance to be their quarterback. They don't have any use for Jimmy G anymore. Meanwhile, the Vikings really need a quarterback. I'm sure that Justin Jefferson probably wants someone better to throw him the ball. Who knows if Jimmy G is going to be that guy long term, but he was much better than Kirk Cousins in the previous season. So I feel like this is a good deal. And so that's basically the three-way trade. I don't quite know how to summarize this trade, honestly, but I just feel like it works well for everybody involved. Okay, looks like our backup left outside linebacker is going to be Justin Houston. I actually really like this for us. He's a Georgia alum, so it's cool to bring him back to Georgia. We have the money to do it, so I kind of want to say why not. Who else? I just saw Justin Houston and click. Yeah, he's far and above the best one. So yeah, Justin Houston, welcome to the Falcons. I think that's a fine addition to the team, especially after the draft. So we're at week 2 of the preseason. I think I am just going to sim through everything just because this has been a very content-heavy episode so far in terms of all of the trades. We did the draft, we did free agency, so I don't think we really need any gameplay. We'll save that for the next episode. That'll be the thing we look at is these rookies, see them on the field for the first time, yada yada. But we will look at the box score here for this preseason game. Malik Willis was pretty good. He probably only had limited play, but he was good in Mike Davis, had a pretty good game. Kenneth Walker was fine. He did fumble, so not a great first preseason game from Kenneth Walker. Receiving, Tyquan Thornton, rookie out of Baylor. You love to see it. Tyler Kroft was good. Julio, I guess this was the Julio kind of revenge preseason game. As much of a revenge game as a preseason game can be. It was interesting. He was fine. Pitts, yeah, I'm not expecting to see anything too crazy here. Did we get anything? Treylon Burks did not get a reception in his first NFL-ish action. Falcons gave up 2 sacks. Looks like it was only backups on the right side of the line. And then defensively, Troy Anderson had 10 tackles. Cool to see. TFLs, 2. 1 for Anderson, 1 for Linval Joseph. Sacks, 2 for Thibodeau, 2 for Deion Jones, 1 for Grady Jarrett. That is fantastic to see. It's only one preseason game, but it makes me feel like we've done a great job of revamping our pass rush and getting something that we can actually get after the quarterback with. That makes me happy as a GM. Since we simmed this game, we can look at the catches allowed and see who got beat up a little bit in terms of playing pass defense. Really, I just want to check the corners. I don't care too much about anyone else, although Troy Anderson, not really looking like he's a super good coverage linebacker. So we might look to put Oluokun in that lead sub-linebacker role if that continues throughout the preseason. Taking a look at the second preseason game of the year, we lost to the Bills, 35-14. Boo-hoo, huge bummer. Tim Boyle cooked us. That's insane. How did Willis do? So Willis played half of this game. He was not very good. Don't really like to see that. Trubisky was actually much better in the second half, but again, Willis is playing against starting level competition. Trubisky's playing backups. Got to think about that. Walker, not very good. Yikes. Mike Davis, not very good. Running is really not amazing. I really hope Kenneth Walker can come out of the gate and do something cool once the season actually starts. Hopefully this is just some preseason blues, but I'm kind of yikes, we traded 2 third-round picks to get this guy. Hope he's somewhat decent. Could be a bad trade to look back on. Kyle Pitts was really good, 7 for 97. Tyquan Thornton, 5 for 58. You love to see that. Tyler Kroft was good. Calvin Ridley, the Calvin Ridley sort of revenge game. He doesn't really go off. Kind of makes us look like geniuses for trading him. Let's see, sacks. Only Jake Matthews gave up 1 sack. He tends to do that. Kendall Sheffield led the way with 10 tackles. TFLs, we got 2 from Marlon Davidson, 2 for Thibodeau, and then 1 for these guys. Sacks, we got 1 for Thibodeau, Jarrett, and Jones. Those guys are looking really solid for us, coming off the edge. It's a good group. So if we look at the catches allowed here, Sheffield gave up a lot, Anderson gave up a lot. Again, I just don't think Troy Anderson can be a sub linebacker for us. I think that's going to be Oluokun, and Anderson can just be the linebacker, but really no one was super effective guarding the pass game against whoever their terrible backup was. I don't even remember. All right, just got through simming our last preseason game against the Ravens, and it looks like we picked up the dub by 1 point, 26-25. So we avoid the goose egg here in the preseason. Okay, so this is basically a start for Malik Willis. He played 3/4 of the game, and he was quite good. You love to see that. Rushing, again, basically a start for Kenneth Walker. He looked pretty good too. Mike Davis also getting some reps in. Looks like he got a touchdown. 10 for 30 is passable. I'll take that. Kyle Pitts was good. Tyler Croft was good. Gage was good. Mike Davis was good, catching passes out of the backfield. The people I'm concerned about here are Kenneth Walker, and did we get Treylon Burks a catch? We did not. He has been silent this preseason. Wow, okay. Looks like McGarry and Matthews gave up sacks. You don't like to see it. See who led us in tackles. It's Oluokun with only 5. Interesting. TFLs. It's going to be 2 for Thibodeau, 1 for Hawkins, 1 for Grady Jarrett. Thibodeau doesn't look like he had any sacks, though, and we didn't get any as a team. So that's interesting. Still got the win, though, somehow. No picks at all for us in the preseason. No deflections either. Catches allowed, I see some ugly numbers. Oluokun allows 4. Hall, Terrell, Taven Young. So because we're in week 4 of the preseason here, it's time to finalize our 53-man roster. So looking at it position by position, we have 3 quarterbacks. That's what I want. I know we have too many running backs, and I think that means we're going to take the rookie Timmy Quick, move him to the practice squad. Fullbacks, we have 1. We're set there. Receivers, we have a few too many. So we can cut a lot of these guys, actually. We'll cut Richardson, you're gone. Koski can be gone. Lamar Bayless, catch you later. Aaron Fuller, don't let the door hit you on the way out. So we only need to cut 1 more, and I think that's gonna be. Ooh, we'll cut Frank Darby just because it'll get us some money. I like that as being like a little cheapskate owner. So saved $800,000 there. Thank you very much. Tight end, we're fine. Tackle, guard. For offensive line, we just want a starter and a backup for each position. Middle linebacker, Ja'Cory McClellan can be a practice squad member for us. Right outside linebacker, I kind of want both of them. Do we have too many corners? I think we have 1 too many corners. We'll get rid of Nate Brooks. Sure, why not? Rondell Carter makes the most sense. Alrighty, so with that, I'm going to leave you guys here, getting ready for week 1 in the next episode. I like the way our offseason went. I like the team that we've built. It's unfortunate that we had to trade Calvin Ridley, but I think we got a pretty decent replacement in Treylon Burks. Excited to see kind of how that storyline plays out. But outside of that, I mean, we got an amazing edge rusher in Kayvon Thibodeau, another great one in Drake Jackson, new quarterback in Malik Willis. Should be exciting to see what he can do here in Atlanta, and a bunch of other cool young pieces to kind of build around. I feel like the team is much improved as a whole, and I like us going into this year much better than I did last year, even though we did lose some key pieces. I think overall we're going to be a much better team, and it'll be exciting to take a look at the continued development of Kyle Pitts, AJ Terrell, Foyesade Oluokun, Jalen Mayfield, all those guys. So yeah, I think we are in a much better spot as a team, and I'm excited to see what we can do and where we can go. And we'll get started with that in the next one as we Keep it locked, get excited for that, and I'll see you here in the next episode of Falcons Franchise. Peace.